Austin Ekeler needs to become a financial advisor for NFL rookies after he retires. I am a huge fan of this guy, and I am so glad that GQ Sports made another excellent episode starring Austin.
If I were to give a rookie coming into the league right now some advice as far as how to spend their money, I would definitely say come up with a plan before you make any substantial decisions.
Athletes don't have any plan when they enter the professional game. A majority of them do not have a family member or a close friend with access to millions of dollars. And unfortunately, a lot of them have never been around financial advisors, so they don't exactly know how to even hire one.
As far as chains, as far as cars, houses, things like that, make sure you just have a plan and talk to a professional. The NFL doesn't last forever. The average career is 3 years.
As you'll see in a minute, Austin would be a great advisor to NFL athletes on how to not go broke. I have a feeling rookies would retain a lot more advice from a guy like Austin than anyone else because of the relatability factor.
I would say be careful, and for the first year, definitely become a friend with a financial advisor.
I can tell by the comment section on previous videos that fans still don't understand how quick athlete careers are over. Some quarterbacks like Tom Brady will play for a long time, but a majority of NFL players are done with football within 3 to 4 years. Dwayne Haskins is the most recent example. First round quarterback, and 18 months later, you aren't even sure if he's going to get a second deal. And when it's over, it's over.
Being back on campus, it's been different. It's been different for sure. I did decide to come back just because I loved my degree.
Austin Ekeler went back to school to complete his degree after making an NFL roster. Ever since Austin left college, he definitely had long-term vision and knew that the NFL was not a guarantee to becoming wealthy.
When I was a current player, running backs right here, I used to have every single one all the way across, and it was kind of, who can beat Ekeler, who can beat him out.
In addition to his focus on attaining a degree, Austin was also known as a workout warrior for being a beast in the gym. Valuing education and having an unquestioned work ethic means Austin will succeed at whatever he does. Austin was an undrafted free agent out of a Division II school. His chances of even making a roster were slim to none, but he beat the odds and impressed the coaches enough to put him on the 53-man roster for the San Diego Chargers. He signed a 3-year deal worth $1.66 million with only a $5,000 signing bonus. He plays running back, which is a position most prone to career-ending injuries. Even the $1.66 million was not guaranteed. This is a big reason why athletes go broke. Austin signed for $1.66 million, but if he got hurt in his first season and got cut in his second or third season, which happens all the time unfortunately, then he would only make a portion of the contract in his entire playing career.
The first thing I bought on my first contract was a Chrysler, and it was about 30 grand.
He talks about 2 purchases that he made before the big contract. One was a used Chrysler 300, which was a great decision for a guy who wasn't guaranteed any money and is playing a position that is notorious for only lasting a couple seasons.
I bought it used just because I wanted to save money. That was like my first check that I ever got, and I knew a majority of it was going to go towards the Chrysler. Well, a majority of it I feel like went towards taxes. Used Chrysler, 30 grand.
Personal preference here, but I would go with a used Tesla for 30 grand instead of a Chrysler. I'm definitely a Tesla fanboy. Good choice nonetheless.
For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm a big gamer and streamer on Twitch. Just needed to upgrade my setup because it was a little outdated and just underwhelming. My second real purchase was updating all of that, and that was about 10 grand.
The man likes to take his video games seriously. If I was a GM or owner, I would love to see an athlete be a huge video game fan. Because if the athlete is staying in to play in these tournaments and not out at the nightclubs with James Harden, then there's very little risk with the athlete getting in trouble.
So that was on my first contract, and then I signed my extension.
Those 2 purchases were from his rookie deal. He doesn't have a flashy car, he doesn't wear expensive jewelry or clothing, he didn't waste money on vacations or nightclub visits. When he signed his second deal, then he could spend more money. Let's see how much Austin signed for.
Or they could sign me to an extension, or they can let me go. We went back and forth and finally came down to like 26 million after incentives on 4 years. Yeah, that's when some spending started happening.
The key number is 15 million guaranteed. Running backs focus on the guaranteed number because their careers end sooner than anyone else's. Austin is set for life if he invests his money.
Sat down with my financial advisor, and they're like, basically have won the game as long as you play it right.
This is the key to understand if you are an aspiring athlete. You only need to get rich once. Austin just got paid, which means he's already rich. After taxes and agent fees, he'll have somewhere around $15 million in net income in just 4 years. $15 million. He doesn't need to get any more rich in order to live an amazing life. As long as he invests his money well throughout the next 4 seasons, he'll never have to worry about money again.
I grew up, my mom's ex-husband, he made a substantial amount of money and then kind of just blew it all and got really underneath as far as debt. I've seen that happen and I was like, I cannot let that happen to me, especially with this magnitude of money coming in.
Before we get to the most important part of this video, I found this one little clip to be really interesting. He didn't say stepdad, he said mom's ex-husband. The guy made a lot of money and then lost it. My guess is that this event was very pivotal in Austin's development as an adult. I'm not going to speculate any more than he probably saw a marriage end because of money problems and never wanted that to happen to him.
My last big purchase has been my real estate investments. Basically, since the first year of being in the NFL, I kind of had my eyes set on real estate. Currently, I have 17 units. All in Colorado.
I am so happy with Austin. He gets it better than any other athlete GQ has interviewed. He already has 17 units, which he attained with only $800,000. I am so glad they interviewed Austin for this series because a majority of their interviews are popular first-round picks or guys who are going to make a lot of money. But Austin wasn't guaranteed anything, and he's providing the roadmap for a lot of guys like him, undrafted and probably going to have a career less than 5 years.
My real estate investments, $800K.
With the $800,000 down payment, my guess is he is operating a portfolio of around $3.2 million. With 17 units, that would put the average unit at around $188,000. Given he and his mom lived in rural Colorado, my guess is the units and buildings are really nice with that price point. Over the next 4 years, if he invests his money in real estate, my guess is he could have a portfolio with 250 units valued at nearly $60 million by December 2024.
Basically, since the first year of being in the NFL, I kind of had my eyes set on real estate.
Let's assume his career ends in December 2024 after his contract is over. He will have around $15 million invested in a cash flowing asset. Let's assume a safe return of only 5% cash on cash return. He will be making $750,000 per year in cash flow, $750,000 every single year for the rest of his life. And that's not even touching the principal.
My mother's a real estate agent there, so I have a lot of connections through her.
He mentioned his mom is an agent and they're buying off-market deals, so my guess is his cash flow is actually closer to 8% per year from buying better than average deals, which would be $1.2 million per year in cash flow for the rest of his life, $100,000 per month for life. Think about that. That is a wild number. That is the value of investing. If his $60 million portfolio appreciates at 2% per year for the next 60 years, basically by the time his days may be over and he'd want to transfer it to his kids, his $60 million portfolio in 2024 will be worth $197 million in 2084.
I just want to make sure that my investment side is strong and able to, withstand myself throughout my entire life after football. What I'm making from the NFL, transfer into my investments, living off of that, and then hopefully, have some generational wealth that, if I have kids, they can live off of that as well.
Austin gets it. His family won't have to worry about money if he keeps investing in real estate. Part of the reason why I make these videos is I'm definitely jealous of the capital these guys have at their disposal. They get to buy 7- and 8-figure assets. That would be really fun. Imagine shopping for $8 million apartment complexes.
The first thing I bought after I signed my extension, 2019 Ford, I think F-150, and that was 40 grand.
I put the real estate investing money first because what he spends on everything else is almost irrelevant. If he keeps investing in real estate, his family can drive whatever trucks they want.
So I ended up buying a 2020 C8 Corvette, about 85. Needed, to upgrade the wheels for the weekend joyride, but really excited. I've wanted a Corvette for a long time, and
$85,000 for a 2020 Corvette Stingray seems like a steal of a price. Great performance. I think the car looks great. In less than $100,000, his current real estate investments easily cover the cost to maintain these cars, so no worries at all about this purchase.
After I signed, though, I ended up buying, my lovely home here. That was a down payment of about $240,000. So I'll bring this up here.
$240,000 down payment means this house was probably worth around $1.2 million. In San Diego, that purchase price will get you a nice 3-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood. It sounds like a lot of money, but this isn't a huge splurge purchase in that market. What's interesting about that price point is Austin will gain about $20,000 in mortgage principal paydown in the first year alone. And as long as California still has residents in 30 years, he'll have another multi-million-dollar asset in his portfolio. Austin will probably be wealthy for the rest of his life. He seems really low-key on personal spending, as he only spent about $5,000 on clothing, nothing on jewelry, bought his house, and already bought the cars he needs. My guess is he will put a majority of his future contract money into real estate investments and then diversify when he feels appropriate. He unfortunately sustained an injury this year, so my guess is he can see how quick the NFL shelf life can be for running backs firsthand now, which will lead to him investing even more off the field, knowing he could be done within the next 2 or 3 years. I hope aspiring professional athletes watch his video, because he's a guy that was undrafted out of a Division II school and made it. He also shows that you don't need expensive clothing, an expensive car, or a lavish lifestyle in order to reach your second contract, which is the most important thing. He also doesn't give you a vibe that he has anything to prove to anyone that he made it, or he has doubters that he needs to prove wrong, which is generally why young men buy flashy items and go broke. I'm a big fan of Austin Ekeler now and hope that he can help out future athletes when his playing days are over, because rookies really need to listen to this guy. Thank you so much for watching.